Ladies and gentlemen, boys and NBs, welcome back to Call of Duty as a whole, because this applies across multiplayer, Warzone, and even DMZ for those of you still playing it. I still enjoy it as well. This is going over the recent revelation that started with exclusive Ace and then moved into the community with people like JGod and True Game Data. However, I'm not going to be serving up just burgers like they are. I'm here with the Krabby Patty secret formula to show you how to build every gun to its maximum meta capabilities, bar none, with one simple formula with a little adjustment for your SMGs and close range options. And this is how you absolutely decimate and get the advantage in every fight, no matter your skill level. However, skill tacked on top will absolutely make you fry everyone, no matter what you are using. And that's why people have been able to get away with using these burger builds that they have been using. With this, you will actually be able to take on people who are much better than you. Unless you are literally the best Call of Duty player, like myself, then you just have an advantage with your gun as well as your skill. Before we get into this, make sure to like and subscribe, because I've got so much to go into this week. I just thought I'd start with a banger and tell you guys how I've been giving you all of these incredible gun builds that I've been giving out since middle of DMZ last year, with people like Westy, Stod, Stone Mountain, Onic, all loving these guns. It's time for you guys to get the secrets as well, and it's time for me to go over everything. So starting off, we're going to talk about the SOA Subverter, as it's in the thumbnail, and I guess that's where we'll start because it's in the thumbnail. So on screen is what is considered to be the meta build for the Subverter in the long range, and what you've seen almost everyone running on Rebirth Island for the last month or so since it came out. This has also been all over big map of Urzikstan. It is everywhere, and this build is decent, but it is far from the best. It is an all-around good gun, but you can do so much better. With the way this gun is currently built, let's get into the stats. You have a 914.3 meter per second bullet velocity while holding a damage range of 48.4 meters for your hit scan. Now, with that bullet velocity, you're only reaching 45.7 meters of hit scan. You can get a little bit better out of it, and I will show you how in a second. But to get that equation done, it's very simple. You just take the bullet velocity and divide it by 20. Literally, any calculator, type it in, what your bullet velocity is, divide by 20, and that will give you what 50 milliseconds of hang time on a bullet is, therefore what your hit scan range is. Another thing you'll notice with this build is it has a sniper rifle's aim down sight speed, and this absolutely leaves you open to getting gunned if you're caught with this out and someone pushes you with an SMG. And being at sniper rifle speeds, if someone is able to shoot you through flinch with a Stalker or a Moors, you are absolutely destroyed, because both of those guns are around the same in aim down sight. All right, so let's go ahead and switch this over to what is actually a meta build, and we're only going to change just about every attachment on this gun, but that is okay. So remember, we're leaving with 914.3 meter per second bullet velocity and 437.8 millisecond aim down sight speed. I'll show you what it is on the other end. I'm going to go ahead and swap the gun around. All right, so we've now changed all of our attachments around, and we have every single stat bumped up on this gun. Bar none, this gun is absolutely better in every single way, except for we did gain just under 1% more recoil, which less than 1% recoil, you're not even going to feel it in your sticks, you're not going to feel it in your mouse. What we've done is we've swapped out suppressors for the sonic suppressor, as the sonic suppressor is going to give us more velo, but we're also going to get that range that we had before, keeping that the same, while gaining 5% to our velocity. We are going to lose quite a bit of recoil control. We're going to lose a little bit of sprint to fire, but we are going to gain a ton of aim down sight back. We're keeping the long barrel, and we're going to keep the 50. However, we're going to swap off the Bruin Heavy, which is absolutely a useless attachment now, and I'm going to show you why real quick. With the Bruin Heavy, since the Season 3 patch, they have actually made this thing worse than the FTAC SP10 angled grip. So you've got 10% gun kick, 8% horizontal, you lose 4% vertical, and lose 7% aim down sight. Now, if we go look at the SP10, this is just a little bonus. You're going to get the same aim idle stability. It just says it in there. There's nowhere to see it on the graph, but it's the same amount of aim stability. However, you're still going to get that 12% of your horizontal recoil control, lose the 4% of vertical, where you're not going to lose aim down sight speed, and you're not going to gain gun kick control. But none of the guns in Modern Warfare 3 really have any gun kick, and that includes the Modern Warfare 2 guns. So there is absolutely no reason to use the Bruin Heavy anymore. Then the other change that I've made here is I've thrown the Intless CAS 14 on. That's because this gun gives us not only the aim stability that it has listed, but you can go up to the LSJ3 if you want, gain hip fire as well as aim down sight speed. Some guns I'll do this on. I'm actually going to break down another one. You'll see where this comes into play. But with the Intless CAS 14, you're going to gain all of that hip fire and aim stability. You will have a visible laser, but this is your long range option, so it does not really matter. To break down these stats side by side, if you remember on the quote meta build that I had pulled up at the beginning, that had a 914.3 meter per second bullet velocity. This gun has a 960 meter per second bullet velocity. This means with the build that you have that I just gave you, you have a 48 meter hit scan range on a gun that has a 48.4 meter minimum damage range, meaning you're pushing it to the ceiling. However, on the build that is the quote meta that everyone else has been giving you for months since this gun came out, that only reaches the 45.5 meters, and it still has the same 48 meter range, where you're not going to be able to hit scan all the way out to your damage range. Now, I understand you're going to take some gunfights past that 48 meter mark. I do every day, but 90% of your fights are going to be inside of that 50 meter range. So you might as well get the maximum out of it. Give it a try because, once again, comparing, our horizontal recoil is right there on screen. It's barely changed, as well as our vertical recoil has barely changed. Our aim down sight speed, however, is 0.7 seconds faster. It is insane how much faster you can get your gun up. Your sprint to fire is better. Everything is better here. All right, so the next one I want to show you is the SVA Burst build. This is probably the best long-range meta gun outside of a sniper right now, and probably even better than them because of the nerf to bullet velocity. So once again, we've got the quote-unquote meta build thrown on the gun, and it's the exact same cookie-cutter build, just move to the other gun because these guys are lazy. They don't give you anything that they have to work to get. They're not even willing to do basic math to bring you the best builds for these guns. Just slap together what looks good and send it out. We're going to make this better in every single way. And remember, the SVA has literally 0 recoil in burst because it sends 2 bullets and recenters on its own instantly. This gun is so broken right now, I'm in love with it. So give me 1 second and I'll swap it over and explain to you what we've swapped. Alright, so now we've swapped everything over and we've turned this into a true DMR with its burst fire setup. The hyper burst on the AN94 is absolutely disgusting. Now for my gun nerds, I know this is not a proper AN94. It's a prototype of a prototype. It was never made in 545, but only if it was. Man, would that gun be awesome. It's already awesome. At any rate, once again, we've went to the sonic suppressor and we've kept our long barrel to keep our velocity and range up. However, we've also added the high grain rounds in place of the Bruin Heavy so we can push that range out as far as possible and get that velo up as far as possible. We've went to the Intless LSJ3 because that's going to give us a little bit more zoom, which is not a bad thing, but we're also going to gain, like I said before, not only the aim stability, but we're going to gain aim down sight speed as well as hip fire in case we are in a panicked position. We are going to lose some of that ADS movement speed, but not a big deal because when you're aimed in with this shooting far away, you're not really jumping around doing much. However, getting a gun that you can murk somebody at 200 meters, that you can aim in at 283 milliseconds is absurd. Give this one a try. Before you write any of this off, give this gun right here a try with the next one we're going to talk about, because this genuinely feels like you're cheating. It is absurdly good. You don't even need to worry about stability because it's in your optic. Just be mindful if you go to use this up close, not only are you zoomed in, but you do have a visible laser while you're aimed down sight. Putting the stats on screen for this gun on the changeover. Originally, we had 939.6 meter per second bullet velocity, which gave us a 46.98 meter hit scan range. With the changeover, we're now hitting 1,134.5 meter per second bullet velocity. That gives us a 56.72 meter hit scan range. That means we are able to slap people at a full 10 meters further, which for us Americans is just over 30 feet. With this build, we also have an aim down sight speed that is again 70 milliseconds faster, and we have not hurt anything on our movement speed except for losing 0.1 meter per second movement speed while aim down sight. We've also gained a boon to our hip fire spreads. In the event we want to use it that way, not really what the gun's made for, but it is there for a panic situation. Now, the one place these thoughts change is when we get to submachine guns. Here on screen, I have Z-Laner, Swag, all of those guys have been using this build on the Striker since the Season 3 Reloaded patch dropped. This is a decent build for doing just about every role, but you should be making your guns purposely built for sniper support or for submachine gun behind an AR/BR LMG. So this is what they've been running behind AR/BR LMG as well as in sniper support. I'd say this is a better sniper support option than anything, but I still wouldn't run it this way for that job. This build is, like I said, it's okay. It's built by someone who doesn't understand the stats of the game, and that's perfectly fine. There are ways to make it much, much better, and let's do that. So give me a second to swap attachments around and I'll explain to you why, and then I'll show you the stats on screen. All right, so I've swapped everything over, and don't get scared away by low grain. Low grain is one of the most OP attachments in this game that literally no one uses. The second I saw that they added this to the game, I got extremely excited. Like I said, I've known about this 50 millisecond hit scan range forever. I've known about this back on the original Verdansk. It's all cool, it's all gravy. I'll explain the thought process behind this as we go through it. First and foremost, the ECS Requieter Suppressor that we got with the Horus at the beginning of Season 3 is an incredible SMG attachment. Not only does it suppress our gun fully instead of what the Zem does by giving us just the ability to stay off the minimap most of the time, this also gives us firing aim stability and aim down sight speed. So we're going to gain a full 4% aim down sight speed, which as you can see, the numbers on this gun are insane. We'll get into that in a second. But we're also going to add the DR6 hand stop, just like on the build everyone else was using. We're then going to use low grain ammunition, which low grain ammo is absolutely incredible. It does the exact opposite of what high grain does. So instead of gaining that 15% boon to our damage range and velocity, we're going to trade that for the 8% recoil control and 5% gun kick. Not that gun kick really matters. This attachment is so good. As you can see, our effective damage range on this is 30.2 meters, which with the Striker, you're not really going to be taking fights past 30 meters almost ever. So that's perfect, absolutely perfect for this gun. We're then going to use the 48 round mag. I see no reason to go up to the big drum. 48 is more than enough, even in quads. Then we're going to throw on the Sakin ZX rear grip because this is going to give us as much recoil control as that big barrel does. And it's not going to hurt any of our stats except for aim idle stability. And the only time you're going to be ADS with this thing is while you're in a fight or while you're pushing into a room to do a very close engagement where that aim stability does not matter. As soon as you pull the trigger, firing aim stability takes over and you're absolutely fried. The gun is not moving. To compare these stats side by side, again, on the original build, we had a bullet velocity of 622.7, which gave us a 31.13 meter hit scan range. With the build we have here, we've got 484.5 meters per second bullet velocity, or a 24.22 hit scan meter range. This is slightly under our 30 meter range. However, that 6 meter difference there, we're not going to feel that in bullet drag where we have to aim ahead of our target at that range or anything like that. So it's close enough to hit scan to not really hurt us. I typically try to get within 5 meters. This is right there on the cusp, so I'm perfectly happy with it. However, look at our aim down sight speed as we are quite literally a 1/10 of a second faster here. Just about. It's insane. Our sprint to fire is better. All of our movement is better. We have the same, actually we have better hip fire and tac stance spreads. And our recoil is almost the same on a gun that has no recoil. This build right here will win every single time. You can also take off the low grain ammo if you want a little bit of that range back and you are going to use this in a sniper support role. You can throw on an optic, or you can throw on the movement speed stock. You can even throw on that longer barrel if you want to get even more recoil control. But I would use an optic instead of the ammo for the sniper support position. Remember, to get these guns built this way, what you're going to do is you're going to take your bullet velocity, you're going to divide it by 20, and that's going to tell you how far the bullet will fly in the first 50 milliseconds after you pull the trigger. I hope this has helped you. I hope this explains how to make every gun absolutely fry. It explains why most people were never able to figure out the Fennec, which is an absolutely incredible gun in solos right now, by the way. Play around with that. You can get a lot of good builds out of it now that you know how to get that hit scan range and absolutely fry people with a gun that literally no one is using. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them below. And I have one question before I go, and that is, did I earn your like? And with all of this secret formula news, that's going to do it for me. Until next time, boys, leave me alone.
Still shit.